Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning to all. So I'm Professor Dr. Massila Kamaludin from University Technical Malaysia Melaka. First of all, thank you to Minds for this award and recognition. Okay, guys, I would like to share with you part of my, I could say, most significant research titled and approach for the automations of requirements validation. So here is the outline of my talk today. So I will start with kind of introduction where I will introduce to all of you what is the nature of requirements, and then I will share with all of you the current scenarios, what happened in our country and maybe in our real life problems, and then moving towards the proposing and also introduce our approach and the tool support called TestMereq, the results that we get from the evaluations, and then the achievements and also the international collaboration. Okay, as we know, we are moving towards Industry 4.0, and although we are at Industry 3.0, automations, computers, and devices are moving towards the current need. And as for Industry 4.0, cyber physical system, Internet of Things, where we need to use internet at any time, anywhere, and everywhere. So, and of course, software is very important. So, as we know now, software system and applications is being used in various domains of applications, where it needs to handle complex functionality to ease the manual tasks and also to increase the productivity of the manufacturing and also the works that we are doing now, especially now when most of us are facing with this pandemic COVID-19, where everything is online and needs automation to help in most of the activities. So directly or indirectly, we have to admit that there is an increase of demands on software, but it must be a quality software. When I say quality, it needs to be something that satisfies the needs of the client stakeholders. And for this, automations also is very important. As we know, we need quality software, especially if we are moving towards Industry 4.0, and maybe in the next level, like in Japan, we already moved towards Industry 5.0. And based on our study, we found that most of the projects fail due to requirements-related problems. So what is requirements? Before we move forward, I would like to a bit explain to especially the layman on what is requirements. So that the simple words and terms is customer needs and expectation. What do we want? What actually the client wants? So and they are analyzed and described in the following ways. First, high level or system level requirements. So this is normally at the I would say the technical savvy or maybe the IT savvy engineers or maybe clients that know what they want in terms of technicality. And functional requirements, what the system must do. Like for example, you said that you want to have a system that can save all the record for the participants. So what must the system do? The main functional requirements is to save the records. But in order to save the record, it also needs to do other parts of the activities. Like for example, they must allow the admin to be logged in. They need to authenticate the user and so on. And the other category is non-functional requirements. So non-functional requirements is more on how the system works or what is the behavior. So this we relate to the system properties, like for example, safety, security, and all the ellipses. What I mean ellipses, the qualities like reliability, usability, and all the specialty involved engineering requirements. And requirements also can derive from other aspects of requirements and design constraints, like what color you want, or what button that you expect to have, all that kind of things. And performance requirements, how fast, how many pieces that the printer can print at in the time of 1 minute or 1 second. Then interface requirements, that means by relationship between system elements, like how you navigate from one system from one interface to another interface, or from one system to another system. So this is what we can define as requirements. Okay, as for requirements, it is divided into, I personally could put it into stated requirements or real requirements. There is a significant difference between both stated and real. Stated means the requirements that provided by customer at the beginning of a system or software development effort. Means I go and see, for example, I go and see Kathy, what you want to do? You want to have a system, like I said, to insert a system that can record the participant details. So that is a stated requirements. So, but real requirements is more into what after you go and see the customer, like in this case of Katie. So after I see Katie, I try to analyze what she really wants, then it becomes the real requirements. So there is often a huge difference between the stated requirements and the real requirements, because we are human. When we say about requirements, we involve with human and also linguistic issue. Like what I think and what the customer wants is normally inconsistent at the beginning. Therefore, to have a quality requirements, it needs to fulfill the three C's. What I mean three C's here: consistent, correct, and also complete. So we have to filter by a process for the clarification of their meaning and education of other aspects that need to be considered. Okay, I would like to share current scenarios, what happened now in the current software houses, or maybe in the industries where most of the work, or I could say most of the developer thinks that the most important part of software development is the coding. Is the real work is developing a programming, and it needs to be done quickly. Yes, it can be true, but not totally true, whereby actually from the beginning, at the earlier phase of the software development, defining and to ensure we get the right requirements is important. Because if we get it wrong for the real requirement, the total development effort will go to the drain. Okay, I would like to share I think a very easy to understand scenario. This is a similar requirement specification where we need to have a drive. We can drive, a car can drive, and it must have a steering. But where is the steering? It's like we are in Malaysia, so it should be right-hand drive. And if we are in the US, we cannot drive the Malaysian car. I mean, like, we can drive Malaysian car, of course, but it's not the right-hand drive, but it needs to be the left-hand drive. So this is a similar requirements, but with different specification. Where here, what I mean is the function is the same, the context is the same, but the environment is different, the law is different, the state is different, the geolocation is different. So all these affect to the quality of requirements. So therefore we need to ensure that the requirements are checked to ensure the system does what it's supposed to do by incorporating the verified requirements, validated requirements, and also qualification requirements. Okay, this is also another example which I think is the simple and it's not technical, but I think it affects. Okay, it disturbs me sometimes as well. Like, we have many watches, but we don't know which watch to use or which watch to wear today. So this happened to the customer himself. They want, like, for example, they want, okay, please build me an online calculator, or maybe build me an online clock. But what kind of clock? What kind of watch? You want a stopwatch? You want an iPhone watch or something? So it goes same to when you want to wear a dress. Like here, there is a metric on how you match the watch with the dress code. So this is kind of conflicts that we need to overcome when we do requirements. So normally the problem phase is confused, the customer is confused, the engineers is also confused what you want, conflicts, what I think and what you think is different, Incomplete, where when we try to elicit or capture the requirements, it is not fully 100% the requirements that needed or satisfy the customer, and of course finally it leads to incorrectness, so it fails. Okay, so therefore what I want to stress today is the real problems that we face in our real software development nature of work. So requirement errors. When I say requirement errors, the four errors that I mentioned earlier, where it will trigger or cause you to have extensive rework costs. And as you know, in software development, time is important, man hour is important, quality is also important, because all these, and the scope is also important, because all these lead to the cost, the budget. And when your requirements is wrong, you have to do again your requirements, although you have start or you have finished your development work. You have this cause you project delay, cost overrun, loss of business and trust. I would like to share my own experience where I'm also a consultant for a few companies where you must elicit or you must try to capture the right requirements from the beginning, because this is how you try to build the confidence between you and your client. If not, they will think that they haven't seen your coding, they're not seeing your coding expert at the beginning. They are looking at how you negotiate things, how you confirm and define their needs. So that is important to win kind of grants or maybe project consultation as well. So all these lead to project failure, which we actually hope not to happen, because it will cost your money, hundred over thousands, millions to go to drain. Okay, this is also due to lack of validation, because most of the validation or verification is being conducted after the coding is completed, not at the beginning when you do the requirement side. So this lead to ignorance of tasks, lack of resources, experts, limited scheduling and funding, and also lack validation, like I mentioned just now. And as for the method-related problems, the conventional method, I don't say it's wrong, it's not good, it's okay, we are using that, but the method-related, the current conventional method is more time-consuming, difficult to understand, complex, and tedious. So all this leads to poor quality requirements, where we know that requirements are the key to success or failure of technical projects. Okay, here I want to share you one, if anyone from the IT background, software engineering, you are familiar with this from Iron Somerville kind of books, where this is example, okay? Business user is the customer, and the IT vendor, the contractor, both have different kind of thought, where the user wants to be, this is what I need. My contractor seems to know, and I say, well, they think that the contractor know what they want. What he wants is just a swing. So what kind of swing? So this contractor or IT vendor, he thinks that he wants something like the baby chair or the swing of the baby chair. But actually, he just wants a swing like with a tire and a string. So this is what I meant by inconsistent, or maybe kind of miss of thought, okay? So, and this problem is very easily happen and always happen when it goes, when it deals with projects in different time and location, like different time zone, like in the US, we are in Malaysia, okay? And maybe the most easiest problem that occurs, Malaysia like to outsource our work to India or to China. So communication barriers, understanding barriers, you know, all that kind of thing leads to this problem. And like I said, the most difficult problem to solve is inconsistency, incorrectness, and incompleteness of requirements. So therefore, based on all these issues and motivations, my team and I could say my postgraduate student and myself, we developed this approach since I did my postdoctorate study until, from my PhD, my postdoctorate, and until it is continued by my ex-PhD students, Nur Aiza Mukhtar. So we have come up with an approach to validate We call as requirement validation using requirement-based testing, RBT, methodology, and rapid prototyping with semi-formalized model called essential use cases and EUI models. Where here we try to solve the issue at the abstract level, and here we develop abstract test pattern libraries. We also have managed to come up with a template-based test authoring on how to write the test to validate the requirements and how to overcome real-time validation approach, where we allow real-time collaborative validation approach if you are in different time zone or location by using our tool. So if you see from the figure that I put at the start, maybe I can list the point. Okay, here, requirement at the first part is the requirements quality side, whereby we gain the requirement from the client stakeholder, number one. Here we try to validate requirements against the objective, apply scenarios against the requirements, perform ambiguity and domain expert review. Then here we transform the test requirements to the model, semi-formalized model, EUC, where we have developed the EUC pattern library, and we allow traceability between the test requirements and the model, and also the prototype model, where here we validate and review the design codes and execute the test cases against the code. So from the test requirements and also the model, we develop the workable prototype. The mock, I could say mock prototype, okay? Then we develop test cases and test scripts. And for here to implement all these, we have come up with another approach where we call test authoring template for engineers to write the test requirement and test cases. And also for the and the third part is developing the real-time collaborative environment, where if we are our stakeholders is at different time zone or location, we can still discuss and modify the requirements online, and then bring out again the generate again the test requirements and test cases until the workable prototype. Okay. Okay. So this is what I want to show just now. So the three parts. Okay, I want to go to the next slide. Okay. So before we move forward, I would like to briefly describe what is essential use case, because if most people are more into use cases, essential use case is developed by Constantine and Lowood in 2001. So during my PhD time, I'm the one who initiated back this EUC based on the communication of my ex-supervisor, Professor John Grundy and John Hoskin, with the author itself, Constantine and Lowood. As he said that the EUC is not being used because not being used widely as use cases because a lack of tool support. So we developed the tool to help on this. So what is EUC? So it's a structured narrative expressed in the language of the application domain of end users, comprising a simplified, generalized, abstract, technology-free, and independent description of tasks and interactions. So if you can see here, okay, let me on the pointer again. So here is the simple of requirements. So based on the requirements, we extract or we abstract the important keyword, the one that bold in highlight in yellow and bold in red, and map to a particular abstract interaction. So if like for example, type in his or her name and customer ID is mapped to identify self. And then clicks on installation is select help option. So all these we call as essential use cases. And where come all the pattern for that? We developed the EUC pattern library in our previous work. Okay, then as for the essential user interface, EUI, it works in tandem very well with EUC because both works in abstract level. So EUC will give you the abstract interactions, what are the main important keywords, and the EUR will give you what are the importance prototype or maybe the interface to describe the ideas behind the UI. Here we are not talking about what button, what color, and so not. We are just talking about what needs to be at the system. Okay, so from both EUC and UI, we developed the abstract test, which here we refer to test requirements and test cases that are generated from the EUC and EUR model. So this is a high-level test requirement and test cases that represent a requirement scenario. So what is test requirements? Test requirements is statement that identify what needs to be tested and validated for both positive and negative tests, and can be derived from business requirements, functionality or internal logic, which are normally written in marketing, functional or technical specification documents, and should be written with action verb like validate that, blah, 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 verify that, or check for, blah, blah, blah. And it shouldn't have a specific data values. So these are the example of test requirements, and from here we develop the test authoring template to guide the engineers to write the test so that they can have a provide and here also it will provide from notification feedback if they do it wrongly, and where this is to help us to enhance the scalability of our pattern library. So here is the information on how we develop the pattern libraries. So you can refer to here. And here are the example on how we develop the pattern. So we include the with the expert from English expert to look at the linguistic, and also we met with our structure on the test requirements. So here is the rules on how we define the 3 C's, the quality, completeness, correctness, and consistency. So if you see here, we have 3 parts: requirements, test requirements, and test cases. So the TC test cases. So consistency means the requirement consists is equals to the TR and also the TC. Okay, and completeness means TR, the test requirement, and TC is completed. I mean, it contains of both. And correctness means C1 and C2. Mean if consistency and correctness are fulfilled. So complete and consistent must fulfill, that is correct. So that is the definition that we define for this word. So this is how we do the requirements checking process. You can have a look on here. We have the trace back, check the consistency. We have the abstract test, check the correctness, and requirement quality checking process also. It have like constantly mockup UI, you know. Here is the one that we call as mockup UI. Let me show you here. This part is the mockup UI. So after you have the test requirements, we develop the mockup UI. So this is the trace back and all this that is important that we mentioned. Okay, so all the steps for quality checking. So this is the elements of correctness of the test requirements. Okay. So here is the template-based authoring, where this is where we write the test requirements, and this is the keywords that are available in the pattern library. So here is the environment for the real-time collaboration. Sorry. So here is the requirements from the figure we converted to the Word version. So here we can see there is a Marcos. This is from US, my partner, and we invite him to be together in this platform. So TestMereq is actually online, so anyone interested can also have a look on it. Actually, I have a video. Maybe we can share later on how TestMereq is working. So for this work, we have conducted the evaluations and we get a few results. Couple of evaluations. We have correctness test, usability test, where we do comparisons of manual and also the tool correctness ratio. We study on the user study where we do survey questionnaire and also interview with the expert. So here are the results of the correctness, whereby TestMereq able to provide 100% correctness. Then here is the on the usability study. We conducted based on the use questionnaire, and also we conduct to learn more about the trade-off. We on the usability we have conducted cognitive dimension study like Blackwell, and most are I could say positive 85% and above. And we conduct a further usability study with the experts, which is more than 10 years experience requirements. So where we want to see the usefulness of the tool in terms of generating the abstract test, template-based authoring, and real-time collaborative approach. So these are all the results. I could say is very promising and impressive on this. So as a summary and lesson learned, so I could say that requirement variation is important to ensure the specified requirements meet the user's need. And lack validation of requirements will increase the cost of fixing those errors in a later stage. And we believe that our developed approach can contribute to the requirements engineering body of knowledge, especially in requirements and validation process. So, and as for conclusion, the implementation of our requirement validation approach and tool contributed to several benefits, included of help to lessen human interference, reduce effort and time in requirement validation, because we provide the automatic generations of test cases and mock-up UI prototype, and help them get into the quality in terms of correctness, completeness, and consistency of the requirements. And of course, it helps the novice requirements engineer or the new engineer to learn on how to write test requirements and test cases. And it also supports the reusability, as the generated test case and mockup UI can be reusable in the design and testing phase, and also to confirm your requirements. And it also promote early testing and get tester involved at the requirements level. This will help to reduce effort in final testing phase. So achievement of the research, we have multiple papers, articles, journals, conferences, and book chapters. And we won a few awards in MTE, UTMX, Pachipta. And also it leads us with partnership and collaboration from USA, Malaysia, IBM, University of Auckland of New Zealand, and also Swinburne University of Technology in Australia. I think with that, thank you. Any question you can ask me or email me, and any collaboration are also welcome.